I thought it was a prank until I saw my own name printed on a casket. Let me ask you something. What would you do if a funeral invitation showed up at your door and it was for you? Not someone with the same name, not a mistake. You. That's exactly what happened to me yesterday morning. It started like any normal day. I woke up, made coffee, checked my phone, emails, notifications, nothing unusual. Outside, the world felt calm, predictable, safe. Then I opened my mailbox. Bills, ads, the usual junk. And one envelope. It was different, thick, cream-colored. My full name printed neatly on the front, Amara Ndenge. No sender name, just a return address. I remember thinking it looked formal, too formal for anything good. I almost left it unopened, but something about it pulled me in. So I brought it inside, sat at my kitchen table, and tore it open. Inside was a black bordered card. Elegant, heavy paper, the kind you only see at one kind of event, a funeral. I felt my chest tighten, but I still wasn't scared. Not yet. People die. It happens. Maybe it was someone I barely knew. Then I read the name, and everything inside me just stopped. Amara Ndenge. My name. My full name. No spelling errors, no coincidence. It even had my middle name printed perfectly, like whoever wrote it knew me personally. I laughed, actually laughed, because what else do you do in a moment like that? Okay, very funny, I said out loud like someone was watching me. But no one was there. I kept reading. Date of the funeral? Tomorrow. Location? A chapel I recognized immediately. Time? 10 a.m. There was even a scheduled viewing of the body. My body. That's when the laughter died. My fingers started to shake, just slightly at first, because suddenly it didn't feel like a joke anymore. I flipped the card over, and that's when everything changed. The return address. I didn't need to read it twice. I knew it instantly. It belonged to one person, the last person on earth I ever expected. Daniel, my older brother, the one who raised me, protected me, trusted me more than anyone. The one I haven't spoken to in 2 years. The one who told me, the last time we spoke, if you lie to me again, you're dead to me. My hands weren't just shaking now, they were trembling, because Daniel doesn't joke about things like this. He never has. So tell me, if this isn't a joke, why would my own brother send me an invitation to my own funeral? Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. I hadn't spoken to my brother in 2 years, and now he was planning my funeral. Let that sink in. Daniel wasn't just my brother, he was everything after our parents died. I was 17, he was 22. Overnight, he became the responsible one, the protector, the voice of reason. He paid my school fees, helped me get my first job, and even walked me through my first apartment lease like a father would. We didn't just trust each other, we depended on each other. So how do you go from that to this? 2 years ago, everything fell apart. It started with money. A large amount, gone from one of Daniel's business accounts. Not small, not something you ignore, enough to cause real damage. And somehow it traced back to me. At least that's what he believed. I remember that night like it's burned into my memory. He stood in my living room holding printed bank statements, his hands shaking with anger. "Just tell me the truth, Amara," he said. I didn't take it, I told him over and over. But the more I denied it, the more he became convinced. Because the transfer logs showed my credentials, my login, my access. Everything pointed to me. Except it wasn't me. But Daniel didn't see that. All he saw was betrayal. The last thing he said before walking out still echoes in my head. If you lie to me again, you're dead to me. And just like that, I lost him. No calls, no messages, no explanations. 2 years of silence. And now, this, a funeral invitation with my name on it, sent by the same man who once said I was already dead to him. I grabbed my phone and called him. Once, twice, 5 times, straight to voicemail. I sent him a picture of the invitation. No reply. Nothing. That silence felt heavier than anything. Because if this was a joke, why wouldn't he answer? And if it wasn't, then what was it? I tried to calm myself down, think logically. Maybe someone used his address. Maybe this was some kind of sick mistake. But then I looked closer at the details. The chapel listed? Real. I'd been there before. The date? Booked. I checked online. There was an actual funeral scheduled under my name. That's when something shifted inside me. This wasn't random. This was planned. Carefully. Deliberately. And suddenly, I didn't feel confused anymore. I felt watched. I didn't even remember grabbing my keys. All I knew was I needed answers, and there was only one place to get them. Daniel's house. The drive there felt longer than it should have been, my thoughts racing faster than the car. What if he denies it? What if he doesn't even open the door? Or worse, what if he expects me? I pulled up outside his house. Lights on, car in the driveway, and the front door slightly open. I froze. Then I heard something. Voices. Inside. I moved closer, my steps slow, careful, barely making a sound, and pushed the door open. I wasn't supposed to hear what they were saying, but I did. The door creaked as I pushed it just enough to slip inside. I didn't call out. I don't know why. Maybe instinct, maybe fear, but something told me, listen first. The voices were coming from the living room. Daniel's voice, low, controlled, the same tone he used when things were serious. And another voice, Clara, his wife. I moved closer, my steps slow, careful, barely making a sound. "This has gone too far," Clara whispered. My chest tightened. Daniel responded immediately, sharp, defensive. "It's the only way to make her come." I froze. Make her come? They were talking about me. Clara's voice cracked slightly. "And after that, what happens then, Daniel? You think this just ends?" There was a pause, a heavy one. Then Daniel said something that made my stomach drop. "She owes this, one way or another." Owes? What was he talking about? My mind was spinning, trying to catch up, trying to make sense of words that didn't fit together. And that's when it happened. My foot brushed against the edge of a small table. A soft click, but in that silence, it sounded like a gunshot. The voices stopped, completely. My heart slammed against my ribs. Too late. "Hello?" Daniel called. Footsteps, coming closer. I didn't move. I couldn't. And then he appeared, standing in the hallway. We locked eyes. 2 years. 2 years of silence, and this is how we meet again. Not with a hug, not with anger, but with something worse. Recognition. Like he already knew I'd come. "Amara," he said quietly. No surprise, no confusion, just my name. I stepped forward, my voice shaking. What is this? I held up the invitation. My funeral? Really? Clara appeared behind him, her face pale, her eyes avoiding mine. Daniel glanced at the card, then back at me. "You weren't supposed to come alone," he said. The words hit me like a slap. "What does that even mean?" I snapped. "Explain, now." He exhaled slowly, like he'd been preparing for this moment. Then he said something that shifted everything. "It's real." I felt the ground disappear beneath me. "What?" "The funeral," he continued. "It's real."
My voice dropped. So you're, what, planning to kill me now? No, he said quickly. I'm trying to stop it. Silence. I stared at him, searching his face for any sign this was still some kind of twisted joke. There was none. He stepped closer. That money you took, he began. I didn't take anything, I cut in immediately. His jaw tightened. This isn't just about us anymore, Amara, he said. That money, it wasn't clean. It belonged to people you don't want to cross. My pulse quickened. What are you talking about? He lowered his voice. Someone out there thinks you stole from them. Every word felt heavier than the last. And trust me, he added, eyes locked on mine, they don't send warnings. My throat went dry. Then why this? I asked, holding up the invitation again. He hesitated, just for a second. Then he said, because it was the only way to make sure you showed up before they find you. My mind reeled. Nothing made sense, until one thought cut through everything. If I didn't take the money, I turned slowly, my eyes landing on Clara. Then who did? Daniel didn't answer, but the look on his face said everything. In that moment, I realized one of us was lying. The room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were closing in. I didn't look at Daniel. I couldn't. My eyes were locked on Clara. She stood there, frozen, her arms crossed tightly, like she was holding herself together. But her eyes wouldn't meet mine. That told me everything. Clara, I said, my voice quieter now, but sharper. Look at me. She didn't. Look at me. Slowly, reluctantly, she did, and I saw it. Fear. Not confusion, not shock. Fear. You knew, I whispered. Daniel stepped in immediately. Amara, stop! No, I snapped, raising a hand. No more guessing, no more accusations. We finish this right now. I took a step closer to Clara. 2 years ago, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me, you were in the house the day the money disappeared. She shook her head quickly. That doesn't mean anything. You had access to Daniel's office. I didn't touch anything. You borrowed my laptop. That stopped her. Just for a second, but it was enough. I felt it click. Everything. I turned to look at Daniel. Did you ever check where the login actually came from? He hesitated. That hesitation said more than an answer. I looked back at Clara. You used my credentials. You made it look like me. Her breathing changed, faster now. Tell him, I said. She shook her head. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him. My voice cracked through the room, and just like that, she broke. Her shoulders dropped, her eyes filled. I didn't have a choice, she whispered. Daniel froze. What? He said, barely audible. I didn't have a choice, she repeated, louder now, panic rising. You don't understand. I was already too deep. The words rushed out. She admitted everything. She took the money. Not for luxury, not for greed, for debt. Dangerous debt. The kind you don't walk away from. They gave me a deadline, she said, tears streaming now. I needed a way out, and she pointed at me, she had access. It was easy. Easy. I felt something inside me crack. You ruined my life, I said softly. I saved mine, she shot back. Daniel stepped back like he'd been hit. You framed her? He asked, voice shaking. You let me believe? I had to, Clara cried. It was her or me. The room erupted into overlapping voices, accusations, disbelief. But then, Clara said something that silenced everything. It doesn't matter anymore. We both turned to her. Her face had changed. Not fear this time. Resignation. It's too late, she said quietly. My heart dropped. What do you mean? She looked towards the window, and that's when I heard it. a car, pulling up outside, headlights flooding the room with harsh white light. Clara's voice came out in a whisper. They already know she's here. No one moved. No one spoke. Then, a car door slammed. The knock on the door wasn't loud, but it didn't need to be. It carried a kind of authority, the kind that doesn't ask twice. No one moved at first. Then Daniel stepped in front of me, instinctively, protectively, like the brother I remembered. Not the one who accused me, not the one who sent me a funeral invitation, the one who raised me. "Stay behind me," he said. The door opened. 2 men stepped in, calm, focused, not rushed, not nervous. That was the scariest part. They already knew exactly why they were here. Their eyes moved from Daniel to me, then stopped on Clara. And just like that, everything became clear. One of them spoke. Clara Mecki. No question, just confirmation. Her face drained of color. "You've been hard to reach." Daniel turned slowly towards her, realization crashing down all over again. "You told me they were after Amara." Clara didn't respond, because she couldn't. The truth was already standing in the room. Clara had stolen the money to pay off a growing debt tied to illegal financial deals. When she couldn't repay it, she used my laptop, my saved credentials, and transferred the money, making it look like I did it. She didn't just take the money, she built a perfect lie around me. And Daniel believed it. The funeral invitation? That was his desperate plan, a way to force me to show up, confront me, and, if necessary, hand me over to protect himself and fix the mess he thought I caused. But he was wrong about everything. "I trusted you," I said, my voice barely holding together. Not to Clara, but to Daniel. He couldn't even look at me. "I know," he said, "and I destroyed that." For the first time since I walked in, I saw it. Regret. Real, heavy regret. The men didn't argue, they didn't threaten. They simply took Clara. She didn't fight. Days later, everything unraveled. Clara was arrested. Fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. Her connections exposed a wider network of illegal operations. Daniel was pulled into investigations, questioned, his business put under scrutiny. And me? My name was cleared, but not instantly, because when people believe something about you for 2 years, the truth doesn't fix it overnight. Weeks later, I stood outside that same chapel listed on the invitation, the one where I was supposed to be buried. Empty. Silent. Daniel walked up beside me. We didn't hug, we didn't pretend everything was okay. But we talked. Slowly, carefully, like rebuilding something fragile. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said. "You're right," I replied. A pause. Then I added, "But I'm still here." And that mattered. Because yesterday, I received a funeral invitation with my name on it. But today, I'm alive. And now, I know exactly who tried to bury me.